Happy Monday, everybody, and welcome back to another edition of Hoops with Noops. Of course, I am Alex Noops Christensen, and I'm brought to you by the fine folks at FTN Bets. I know a lot of you are distracted with March Madness, so thank you for taking a minute to come by. And remember, the professionals are still out there, but this is the best time of the year to sign up for FTN. The FTN Bets team has been crushing college basketball. Mike Randall, Frank Brank, and the crew have been giving out winners all year, whether it be player props. Josh Gross's NCAA women's picks have been unbelievable. He's hitting at just an incredible rate in those markets. And the best way to get access to that is to sign up for FTN Bets. Now, I always tell you to look below for the discount code. Usually it's only 10%, but we're having a special right now. If you use the code FTN March, you get a 35% discount on all the great data, tools, content, picks, and of course, access to the FTN Bets Discord. It's just a great value and a great opportunity. And as someone that basically avoids college basketball all year, I have not watched 1 minute of it, but I've got a few days here to cram in 5-6 months of basketball. A lot of that time is going to be spent going through FTN, looking at Frank's models, looking at all the content everyone's written up. Mike Randall has done some great shows getting everybody ready. So make sure you sign up. It's absolutely the best time of the year. If you want a chance at winning your bracket pool or making some money betting these things game to game, you're going to do a lot better with the help of the folks at FTN. But that's enough talk about kids in college and whatever's going on there. The NBA persists. We're the last stretch of the season here. Most teams have about 15 or less games left to play. Everything's getting really close. The standings are starting to bunch. Everyone is really focused on playoff seeding. So we've got 8 games tonight. Let's get to them. There is one that I have a bet in, and then I'll walk you through the other 7 games and not for Noops, where I just try to give you a lay of the land and an understanding of what I think and why I'm avoiding these games or maybe waiting to bet them later. Now, first game up, and the game that I like here, the Cleveland Cavaliers go to Indiana to play the Pacers. The Pacers, 6.5-point favorites. The total sits at 225. It's been a long, strange season for Indiana. They came out to start as one of the fastest-paced teams, not only in the league, but of all time, running up and down the floor, creating opportunities in transition, and opening up wide-open threes to create this barrage of shots from beyond the arc. Teams adjusted. It took them a little while, but they figured out how to slow them down, really control the boards, keep the pace slow so there's less of those opportunities. And then a couple other things happened. Number one, they changed the team. Through a couple trades, really the key pieces moved Bruce Brown and Buddy Hield out. 2 forwards, Buddy Hield, a great shooter and a good creator. Bruce Brown, a decent shooter and a very good creator, strong defensive player. And bring in Pascal Siakam. Now, Siakam has been good for the team. He fits really nicely next to Miles Turner, who's more of a stretch center than a true big man. Siakam does a nice job kind of next to him in a more traditional power forward role. For any of you that watch basketball in the 80s and 90s, the power forward used to be this real big, brawny guy who did a lot of rebounding, was kind of the team tough guy. It's interesting to see that back. But Siakam also a really good small ball center, fits nicely on this team if they want to give Turner a rest and still have someone on the floor that can compete against some of the bigger players in the NBA. Siakam's improved the defense, but just a different player. He slows the game down. He likes to hold on to the ball more than most of these Pacers guys, and not the excellent shooter that most of the players in Indiana really are at this point. Siakam, a decent shooter, has been better, but not known for his great percentages, his great make rates, basically beyond the arc. And it's really just been a change. The Pacers are now kind of average pace, middle of the road in 3-point attempts. And another part of that is Tyrese Halliburton. He picked up a hamstring injury. He's been dealing with some ankle injuries. And you may have remembered a few weeks ago, he'd been playing with a minutes limit. He now is playing more minutes, but just doesn't look like himself, doesn't have that same spark. And that's what happens. Hamstrings are really tough to recover from, especially during a season. For that injury, you really need to rest. You need a lot of time off. So again, as you're trying to play every other night, you're kind of re-tearing, messing things up a little bit, getting some time to get it back, but it's really hard to get back to 100%. So this Pacers team has not looked like itself. They've lost the advantage of their unique style of play, but the market continues to rate them as one of the better teams. They're just 7-5 in their last 12 games since the All-Star break. They do have one of the better net ratings. They're top 10 in net ratings since the All-Star break, but again, not translating into wins. The Cleveland Cavaliers, dealing with some injuries. Of course, they'd be better with Donovan Mitchell and Evan Mobley who are out, but the strength of this team is the depth. They've got Darius Garland. They still have Jarrett Allen, which creates a really nice 1-2 combo. They have a good guard, a great defensive center. Allen has shown us this year that he can score points. He's a really good pick and roll partner, and Cleveland continues to hum along. Now, they are 6-6 if you go back and look at their last 12 games to try to be fair, but if you look at those losses generally against good teams and in close games, I think Cleveland here is being underrated, and I'm going to take the Cavaliers. Was able to grab them +7, I think even 7.5 earlier this morning. Again, that's part of the value of the FTN Bets Discord. You get these numbers as early as possible and the best of the number. But I still like 6.5. I make this only a 2-3 point game. Now, Cleveland is hurting for depth, and if Indiana decided to go back to pushing pace, they could really run this team off the floor and tire out the guys that maybe are being leaned on a little too much here as Cleveland tries to get through some of these injury problems. But as I mentioned, the Pacers don't really run the way they used to. I think this is a good matchup for Cleveland. Garland can slow down Halliburton. Jarrett Allen's going to be good at the rim. I think that there's enough players here for Cleveland where they can keep this game close and kind of muddy things up. Again, the total for an Indiana game, 225. We were seeing Indiana totals in the 245, 250s, even a couple in the 260 ranges. It's amazing how much this has changed. But again, with the lower score, with the slower pace here, that makes the points for the underdog even more valuable. I think this is a nice edge. Give me Cleveland here plus the points. I really like this spot for the Cavaliers tonight. Now, not for Noops. We got 7 more games. Again, don't have a bet on them. Might have one later, but just want to try to help you understand what I'm thinking and what I'm looking for either later today to make a wager or why I'm avoiding some of these games. And we'll start with an absolute mess of a contest. Both teams here on a back-to-back as the Detroit Pistons go to Boston to play the Celtics. The Celtics minus 15.5, one of the bigger spreads we've seen this season with a total of 223. The Pistons have been playing a little bit better. Again, as I've mentioned a few times before, they've done the hard work of losing enough games to guarantee themselves the best odds for the number 1 draft pick. But it's the second night of a back-to-back. Cade Cunningham has been questionable throughout the week. Did play last night, but it would make sense to rest him here tonight. Again, you don't want to risk further injury to one of your better young players, even though it is towards the end of the season. At the same time, Boston is without Kristaps Porzingis. Jaylen Brown has been questionable, and they've been resting guys like Jrue Holiday, even Derek White occasionally here. So I really struggle with knowing who's going to play this game. If we have most of the Celtics roster, they should win this game by 20, 25 points, especially if Cade Cunningham's not in. But if Cunningham can play, Boston rest Brown, they rest Jrue Holiday, maybe things are a little bit closer here. Just too much unknown. I might have a bet here later that I'll put in the FTN Bets Discord once the injury report clears up, but I think I'm just going to end up staying away from this game. It's a hard one for me to handicap. Speaking of messes, the Miami Heat go to Philadelphia to play my very stinky 76ers here. The Sixers somehow small favorites, a total of 209, and really speaks to the bad position for the Heat. Played yesterday in a really tough game. They won at the buzzer. Bam Adebayo hits a 3 in Detroit to beat the Pistons. Every one of the Miami Heat starters played almost 35 minutes yesterday. Really tough spot if them have to come to Philadelphia. You've got some tired legs. Now, Jimmy Butler's been hurt, which means he missed yesterday's game. He is questionable, so maybe he plays tonight. He is a little bit fresh, but again, the rest of that Heat team is going to struggle. They're without Tyler Hero. Just a real bad schedule spot for them, but at the same time, do you want to trust a Sixers team that has been terrible since Joel Embiid has been out? And it's not just Embiid being out. They've missed a lot of other pieces. Guys like DeAnthony Melton and Nicholas Batum have missed huge sections of games. I mean, Melton is still out. They've gotten Batum back, but it's just tough. Tobias Harris is beat up. Tyrese Maxey has been great, but just not enough to carry this team, and he's missed some games himself. So a really tough game. I don't feel great about either team. If Butler can play, probably a good spot to back Miami as an underdog, but I'm not going to do that. We'll see what changes here. I expect not to be betting this game. The Portland Trailblazers go to Chicago. The Bulls, 8.5-point favorites. The total 213.5. Even though Kobe White is doubtful, the Bulls still deserve to be big favorites over what's left of this Trailblazers team. No Malcolm Brogdon, no Shaedon Sharpe. We've got Jeremy Grant listed as doubtful. That just leaves a dearth of talent in that Portland locker room. They have very few shooters. Really, only Anthony Simons is the only good shooter on this team, which means there's going to be no space on offense. The only true point guard left at this point is Scoot Henderson, who's been on a minutes restriction and playing off the bench as he works his way back from injury and is still trying to grasp what to do. Again, a very raw rookie player who has struggled to figure out the NBA this year. And again, it might be the talent and the lack of shooting around him, but just a really bad spot here for Portland. At the same time, as good as the Bulls have been against bad teams at home, They just play an ugly style of basketball. Some of these games end up being closer than they should. And I make this game Bulls -6.5, -7. So again, a little value in Portland, but I'm not back in Portland. I just think it's a hard number and to make again for a team in the Trailblazers that is just it's not good. It's one of the worst rosters in the league here. So gonna let this game go. Minnesota Timberwolves go to Utah to play the Jazz. The Jazz 6.5-point underdogs, the total at 223.5. Two big injury pieces here that we're going to wait on. Rudy Gobert and Lauri Markkanen are questionable. Markkanen's missed a couple of weeks. Looks like he's due to come back in this game or maybe the next. Gobert has been questionable for a couple of weeks, playing some games, not playing others. If Gobert is in and Markkanen is out, great spot for the Timberwolves, great spot to bet the under. If Markkanen's in and Gobert's out, I think this is a good spot to bet the Jazz, possibly a great spot to bet an over here. So just too much at play, too much uncertainty. We'll see how things move once the injury report clears out. This is a game I'm going to be paying close attention to. So again, make sure you sign up for FTN. You get into that Discord. If I do make a bet, you can find it there. Next game up here, the New York Knicks at the Golden State Warriors. The Warriors 6.5-point favorites, the total 211.5, and I'm bummed. I bet the Knicks earlier at 5.5. It's moved to 6.5 off the news that OG Anunoby, who was listed as questionable, is going to miss the game tonight. Anunoby came back, has played the last 3 games, even though being listed as questionable. Had yesterday off, did not play a big minute load in his previous game. I thought he'd be fine and clear to play here. There's not a second game tomorrow. Again, they have some more rest. I thought that they'd play Anunoby in a game that the Knicks still need to win if they want to hold on to the 4th seed and have a chance to host a playoff series in Madison Square Garden. This would be a good game to win. I think they match up well against the Warriors here, but I just don't see any value in this number. I make the Warriors 4-point favorites here. So again, a small edge still on the Knicks. Again, Warriors closer to 4.5, really 5 at this point as they start to make some adjustments for Anunoby. The Warriors playing great basketball, but have struggled with physical teams like the Knicks. So still lean to the Knicks. I still think my Knicks ticket at plus 5.5 has a chance, but the worst of the number. Things have moved here too far. And again, without Anunoby, just don't show any value in the Knicks. So cheer for me and my bad ticket, but stay away from this game. The Memphis Grizzlies go to Sacramento. The Kings 11-point favorites, the total 211. The Grizzlies finally getting some talent back. Desmond Bane off about a month-long injury here. He's back. Jaren Jackson Jr. has been in and out for the last couple of weeks. He's going to play tonight. And that just gives the Grizzlies 2 very good players. Bane is, I think, a borderline all-star. Jaren Jackson Jr., a borderline all-star here, really just improves the level of play, especially since their replacements have really been G League level guys here. It should make the Grizzlies a much better team, but it's hard to see what they're going to do. It's still a very bad team. The Kings generally good at home, although they've struggled this year. Match up well. They should be able to push the pace and win this game comfortably, but it's a hard number to make. I show a little bit of value on the Grizzlies, but I'm just going to pay attention to this game for a little information on the Grizzlies and the Kings as we finish the season here. Just a hard number to make and a hard game for me to really suggest you bet either way. Again, show a little value on Memphis. I think the market is a little behind how much better they should be with those 2 guys, just given who's coming off the floor to let Bane and Jaren Jackson Jr. play. But no bets for me here. And the final game of the night, the Atlanta Hawks go to Los Angeles. The Lakers 9-point favorites, the total 225. The Hawks got a sneaky win yesterday over the Clippers. It was a late game. The Clippers, big favorites, really came out and laid a stinker here. The Hawks have to play again tonight. Now, no travel. They were in Los Angeles, same stadium, same locker room and everything, but still tough to play 2 games back-to-back. They are without Trae Young. The Lakers, questionable LeBron James, questionable Anthony Davis. I expect LeBron to play. It's a home game. He's been questionable every game this year and generally plays at home. Anthony Davis, though, got poked in the eye a couple days ago, and curious to see what he's going to do. He's got a scratch cornea, and if I was Los Angeles, I would rest him tonight. They could beat this Hawks team without him, but with just LeBron James, maybe Atlanta can find a way to keep this game close. The Lakers have struggled without both of their stars to score. So if this total's low, Atlanta can find a way to keep this game a little bit messy. Maybe they can stay with inside this number, but just not something I'm betting on. We'll see what happens with the injury report. If Davis is in, I might back the Lakers. They should really be able to smash this Hawks team. We'll see how it goes. Again, should be a letdown spot for Atlanta after the big win yesterday, but too much unknown for me to bet. The one bet again I did make here, the Cleveland Cavaliers plus 6.5. They go to Indiana tonight to play a Pacers team I continue to believe is overrated. Cleveland has a lot of injuries to deal with, but I think they can keep this game close. I'm making about 2.5 points here, so love this 6.5. And of course, you could have a better number if you're in the FTN Bets Discord. You got my 7.5 I put out this morning. And of course, you get all the great bets that are there, a lot of content tools. You get all my player props. I put out a bunch of those every day. Those are a lot of fun, doing quite well. And again, access to all the great March Madness content. The tournament is here. So get in there. And again, take a look down below, 35% off FTN bets. That's a really, really nice discount. So use that code below, sign up, and make sure that you have everything that you need. That's all I've got for you today. If you've got any other questions, put them in the comment section down below. Would really appreciate that, as well as a like and a subscription to this channel. Even if you don't want to sign up and pay for FTN, you subscribe to this channel, you get a lot of great content for free as well. Really appreciate you watching. I'll be back tomorrow in written form with Hoops with Noops, and in video form we'll be back on Friday. But again, a written form version every day this week except Wednesday. Appreciate all your support. Thanks for watching, and best of luck until we talk again.